Hey, contractors, welcome back to the Beyond the Tools podcast. We are kicking off a brand new year, and I'm so excited to have you here. I'm your host, Krystal Hobbs, and if you're putting together your marketing plan for 2026, this is an episode you don't want to miss. I can't believe we're in a brand new year. I feel like 2025 just flew. But the way that things are shifting right now, you want to be ahead of the curve, and we're going to get you there. So, whether 2025 was your best year yet, or like many businesses, you're really struggling, seeing a downturn in sales and getting new leads felt like pulling teeth, we're going to walk you through what you should keep doing, what you need to rethink, and where the biggest opportunities lie this year. So, let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, I always like to take a bit of a minute to reflect. Just this morning with my team, we were going over our P&L for last year, looking at how the year went, and really talking about the goals for the next year. If this is something that, annual planning is a bit of a task for you, sometimes we put these things off, right? It can be intimidating to look at. So, just to give you some ideas of where you can start, think about what were some of your biggest accomplishments in 2025. I know as entrepreneurs, we're always looking ahead, we're so hard on ourselves, and it can be really challenging to really think back about all the positive things that happened over the last year. I'm not big into journaling, though I absolutely wish that I were. But one of the things I did over the holidays was actually sit down and write down, like, what were some of the highlights of the year? I went through my phone, I looked at like pictures every month, which I found really helpful to like jog my memory of what was going on in that time. So if you're not big on documenting and you're struggling to really think about what some of those wins were, maybe just run back through your old photos from the year, posts you made on social media, chat with your team, and really pull out like what were some of the great things that happened this year. The second part, which a lot of us find easier, sadly, is looking at what were the biggest disappointments in 2025. Now, I don't want you to spend time beating yourself up about that, but it can be really helpful to look at what the disappointments were, because maybe that points out a system that's missing, a hire that you need to make, a process that wasn't followed properly. That can really be illuminating. And otherwise, your disappointments are really charting the course of where you want to go this year. If you're disappointed by something in 2025, that means it's something you really want, and that's something you want to include in your goals in the year ahead. And lastly, what do you want 2026 to look like? What are your financial goals? What are your personal goals? How do you want the operations of the company to run and what your role within the company looks like? Really breaking down those high level goals for 2026 are going to give you the clarity of what needs to happen this year. And that's something you can then break down and share with your team. Now, I'll tell you that a lot of this structure and planning isn't something that comes naturally to me, but from many, many mentors, and especially shout out to Ryan Redding. I have finally taken the book Traction by Gino Wickman off the shelf. We are implementing this fully in our business now. And yeah, it's a lot of work, but I can't tell you how valuable it's been to have that clarity and structure built into a system that you don't need to make yourself, you don't need to second guess, because hundreds of entrepreneurs and businesses have used this and been successful. So I found that to really be super helpful in my planning and to really give me that clear direction of where we're headed and what we need to do to get there. Okay, once you've got that vision, you've got the goals outlined, now you can reverse engineer it. There are so many talented people who are really good at this piece of the puzzle and EOS and all that sort of stuff. So I won't speak to that, but if you are new to it, I definitely encourage you to pick up the book and spend a bit of time on it, because it is a huge game changer for a lot of us. But when it actually comes to your marketing, I know I was on a sales call the other day and the business owner was like, well, why do you need to know what my revenue is and what my revenue goal is? And the reason for that is that if you want your marketing to actually do something for your business, then your team needs to know where are we and what's the gap. So really looking at, okay, if you have a revenue goal, let's say you want to make $1 million in the next year, and we know what your average ticket is, then we know how many jobs you need to hit every single month to be able to make that additional revenue at the end of the year. So really breaking that down. We've got a very simple little spreadsheet that we can share with you. We'll post a link in the show notes, or feel free to DM us on Instagram and Facebook. But it really breaks down exactly how to think about your end goal and the numbers you need to know from a marketing perspective to do that. And if you're listening to this episode when it goes live this Wednesday, I'm going to tell you that tomorrow we are doing a free marketing masterclass talking all about your 2026 plan. So whether this is something that you do every year and it's intuitive to you, or you've never really done much in terms of planning your marketing for the year, this is definitely a webinar you want to attend, because we're going to do it live on the call. So you'll actually have an action plan by the time that you leave. So we're going to pop that link in the show notes as well, or you can go to our website and just click on the webinars button. So reflectivemarketing.com, click on webinars. You'll get the link to sign up for our free masterclass happening tomorrow. Okay, so otherwise, we've got this spreadsheet, but really just mapping out, okay, what's your revenue goal for the year? What does that break down into monthly? What's your average ticket? And then based on that, how many jobs do you need based on your times your average ticket to make up that monthly revenue? That's going to give you your number of jobs. And then you can break that down further based on your booking rate, your sales rate, to understand how many book jobs you need and how many leads. And then we look at, okay, we've got your number of leads, multiply that by your average cost per lead. That's going to tell you how much money you need to invest in your marketing this year. So if you've been randomly choosing a marketing budget or just going along with whatever you hear somebody else say, it's time to shift from being reactive to proactive. You don't have to only market when things are slow. You want to be ahead of the curve and certainly ahead of your competition. And having this annual plan is really going to help you to get there. Okay, so with that in mind, I'd like to dive a little bit deeper into marketing channels. So for us, meta ads is truly our bread and butter. That's where we see the most results for our HVAC and home service companies. So it makes sense that we start talking about Facebook and Instagram ads. So let's talk about how you can actually succeed on meta ads now. That came out with a brand new algorithm starting in 2024, but really wasn't complete until the end of 2025. And that's called Andromeda. You may have heard tell of it, or maybe you've never heard of it at all. I would say that a lot of the people that I've talked to, even in the marketing space, haven't really heard much about this, but it is an absolute game changer for the way you need to run your campaigns to be successful. So we've seen a lot of changes over the years with Meta's algorithm, but now that AI is getting more and more advanced, Meta has totally integrated that into their advertising platform, and it has absolutely changed how we run successful campaigns on Facebook. So with this new algorithm, there's been a big shift. You no longer need to worry about getting super detailed with your targeting. Now it is all about creative diversification. So to break this down in really simple, practical terms, whatever you've learned in the past about targeting when it comes to different interests or lookalike audiences or retargeting, all these things, you can basically throw that out the window. Meta generally will perform best if you give it what we call broad targeting. So that means just defining your service area. Maybe you have a wide age range, or you can even leave that open. But otherwise, you're not getting into interest, you're not trying to layer on any custom audiences or do retargeting, any of that stuff. You are just giving Meta carte blanche to figure out how to get in front of the right people. The shift instead is that your creative becomes your targeting. For you to get the best possible cost per lead, you want to have a lot of creative to provide Meta. So not only having photos and videos and graphics, you also want to think about who are the different types of customers, because how you speak to a single mother versus a family of 6 versus seniors, those are all going to be different types of customers. And you need to make sure that you have messaging that appeals to each one of those customer avatars. You also want to think about different hooks. What's going to capture somebody's attention? What's going to stop their scroll? What message is really going to be compelling enough for someone to then start to read and engage with you? You also need to consider the buying cycle, because we're not breaking out, targeting new people versus existing customers versus retargeting people on your website. That doesn't really work anymore with Meta's new algorithm. You are including messages for people at all different parts of the buying cycle within the one targeting group, within the one campaign. So all of this to say, it's really a different way to think about your advertising. And if you're working with a team that's really not specialized in Facebook ads or isn't keeping up to date, you're not going to see the same results. It's also really, really hard to DIY this now. Again, in some cases, if you're doing more awareness, that can certainly work because you're just trying to get in front of eyeballs. But if you are actually trying to generate leads, you need to have a really good grasp on what's going on with Meta's algorithm to make sure that you're getting consistent performance. The last thing I'll mention about this big change with Meta is that while having variety of content types, so photos, graphics, a carousel, video, while that's still relevant and important, and we always do a good mix, we are seeing the best performance come from video. So if you have not invested in video this year, if this is something you haven't done, now more than ever, you need people who are going to be comfortable getting in front of the camera. And as the owner, in all likelihood, you need to get on board with that as well. So if you want to make sure you're driving a consistent flow of leads at the best possible cost, it's time to get comfortable in doing those selfies, my friend. We've seen clients drop their cost per lead by 60% just by integrating video. And if you're working with the right people, you can bulk do 4, 5, 6 videos. They can then use those pieces in different ways, chop them up, edit them, make them fancy. But all you really need to do is be comfortable getting in front of your cell phone camera, taking video. So if you're just listening to this now, this is not something you've done before, just start by documenting. Document your work. Take pictures of the team, take videos when somebody's doing a new install or they're troubleshooting a furnace or any of those things that come up. Make sure that you're starting to build out that content now, because that will be something that you can use in your ad campaigns in the future, and that will make a huge difference for you. Okay, next, with that in mind, so that covers the Facebook side of things. And if you are looking to proactively drive, so that covers the Meta Facebook side of things. If you are looking to proactively drive new leads, specifically for replacements, that is a channel that I definitely recommend you get in your toolbox, because that can be a real sales engine for your business this year. Now, moving over to Google, LSAs are still doing really well. We've seen some changes there where all your reviews are now under the one profile. You don't have separate LSA reviews and Google Business Profile reviews. Thank God, what a pain. But there are a couple of things that you should be aware of moving into this year. Of course, the new year, anytime you want to make sure you've got those checkpoints to ensure that your profile is up to date, specifically with verification. So make sure your insurance is up to date in LSA so that you don't unexpectedly run into any issues there. The other thing that makes a huge difference that a lot of our clients come to us not realizing how important this is actually marking your leads. So rating your leads on Google, whether you're satisfied or not, and giving a reason why, and also marking which leads are booked, which ones need to be archived, because Google's AI takes all of that into consideration, and that responsiveness and you giving that feedback only allows the algorithm to get better and to deliver you more leads at a better cost. So if you're not marking your leads, make sure this is something that you're doing on a weekly basis going forward. Next, let's talk the most underrated tool in your marketing toolbox, your database. This is the key to retention, reaching out to your existing customers, past leads by email and text. And this is where most HVAC businesses really leave a lot of money on the table. You've already paid this money to acquire that customer. You've advertised to them or whatever it was that brought them in. Now, anything you do to continue to get purchases from that customer, that's free sales. So that's something you want to really leverage. If you're not at least reaching out to your existing customers by email and text once a month, that's an easy win for you to be able to drum up more sales this year. This can be as simple as putting out a reminder to get a winter tune-up. This can be promoting your membership. It can be sharing with people how to prepare for the upcoming winter storm or what to do to make sure that their system continues to work even when the weather's a little milder or a little cooler, depending on your area. It doesn't need to be that complicated, but just having that regular touch point, giving a bit of value, and asking if there's anything that they need to make sure that they're living more comfortably or saving money, that's going to make a huge impact and bring in thousands of dollars for you. So make sure you are at least doing that on a monthly basis. And last, you really want to make sure that you are tracking your numbers. As they say, you can't manage what you can't measure. So if you don't have a CRM, this may be a time to start exploring that. If you do, and I know all of our clients typically are on ServiceTitan or HouseCall Pro or a similar system, you want to be checking that regularly to make sure that you know your average cost per lead, you know your average ticket, you know how much money you're making this month and what you're on track for, your closing rate, your booking rate, and ultimately tracking your return on ad spend or return on investment. This allows you to really make informed decisions. And if you're working with a marketing team or you're operating on multiple marketing channels, make sure that you're also breaking down those numbers per channel or per campaign. So you can know, is it Facebook that's driving the best ROI? Is it LSA? Is it email? Is it something else? What are those metrics on a channel by channel basis? And having that level of detail, while again, it can sound like a lot of work to put into place, but once you have that clarity, it really allows you to make the most use of your advertising dollars and really make sure that everything that you're spending, you are seeing that investment come through in new customers, new sales. All right, so with that in mind, those are just a couple of the things that are really top of mind for me, for our clients as we go into this new year. So this can, of course, be a little bit daunting. I know many of you are in best practice groups or already, you're listening to podcasts, you're investing in yourself and your leadership. There's so much information out there, and it doesn't need to be super complicated. So again, we have that free marketing masterclass coming up tomorrow if you're listening to this episode live. If not, we do run a free marketing masterclass every month. So check that out in the show notes, go to our website, click on webinars or feel free to DM us and we'll get you hooked up. And wherever you are landing after 2025, I know this has been a really tough year for a lot of businesses. We're hearing sales are down 30% in the industry. It's a challenging time, but I hope that this also gives us the power of really getting smarter and not working so hard, really narrowing down on what's working for you, trying some new things with a strategic plan in place, and really making sure that you're doing everything that you can to make this a good year for your company. And we're all here rooting for you. I really appreciate you guys tuning in every couple weeks when we go live on this podcast. And if there's ever anything that I can do to help, please feel free to reach out. But thank you for kicking off another great year at the Beyond the Tools podcast. I can't wait for you guys to hear all the guests, all the incredible insights that we have coming up. It's really going to be a great one. See you soon.